Hello everyone, this is Stephanie. Welcome to another video. So we're finally getting to the star bezel, and here are the earrings that I showed you I think a couple of weeks ago, a couple of videos ago, and I got a little sidetracked with the modified red ankle weave and didn't get to it, but we're going to do it today. Here I've done a bunch of others. I think we have a bracelet and a necklace coming up as well. I'll show you a quick picture of how it looks on the ear. So there I am. I know I have googly eyes, but it's not the eyes that's important, it's the earring. So here, this is how it looks on the ear. Really pretty, I just love it. I'm just so thrilled with it. All right, so let me put me aside, and I'm going to get a materials list and we'll get going. I'm going to give you a few bezeling pointers. I've been asked to do that. So along the way, I'll give you some pointers on how to get your bezel really good. All right, so come on back in a minute and we'll get started with the materials list. Okay, let's get a materials list going. So you'll need two 14mm Rivolis, two 8.2mm Chatons, some 11.0 Delicas. I'm using hex here, but you can use regular. Some 11.0 seed beads, some 15.0 seed beads. I have these 4mm cutback posts. I'll give you a look, because I'm going to make a post earring out of this. And I have the wide backs because they just fit best on my ears. A little stop bead. I'm using a size 11 beading needle. You might need a 12 to get through some of the smaller beads. I'm using 8-pound Fireline black satin. Don't forget about the Ringberries matte, the No More Ropes bead tray, all materials, sizes, colors, places to purchase beads will be in the description box below the video. Anything I forget, anything I want to add, so don't forget to click the down arrow on the show more. Box will open and everything will be there for you. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you subscribe, ring the bell so that you get notified when I upload a video. All right, so we're going to get started in a sec. Okay, let's get started. So I'm going to make the mate to this one because I think the contrast would be really nice for you to be able to see. All right, so thread a needle with about 3 feet of thread, put on a stop bead right in the middle. So I'm going to use half the thread for one side of the bezel and half for the other. Now this side with the needle is going to be a little bit longer, and you want that because we're going to do the front of the bezel with this. All right, so if you are unsure about how many beads, Delicas. This is for a peyote bezel, so if you're unsure how many Delicas it takes to do the first round of a 14mm Rivoli, you can Google online how many Delicas does it take to bezel a peyote bezel, a 14mm Rivoli, and a list will come up. There are so many of them. It's posted everywhere. So there are pretty standard amounts for doing that, but let's say, your computer, your internet's down. You've had a snowstorm, your internet's down, but you just have enough candlelight so you can bead. So how are you going to figure it out if you don't know it? So, as usual, with a peyote bezel, it's going to be even number of beads. Now, what I would do is I would take just an even number of beads, or I just put a whole bunch of beads on, and that looked like it would kind of fit around my stone. So when I put that on, let's see, it looks like it could fit. And then you want to see if it will fit, you want to sew through the first couple of beads just to, make it into a circle so you can test it on the stone. So I'm going to put it around the stone and I'm going to pull in super tight. All right. So when I press my stone down into my mat, the beads should completely encircle the outside edge of the stone. You don't want them to come in like this, and you don't want them to be super big like that. So you really have maybe like a hair of space between, just a very thin, small amount of space between the stone and the beads, and you want all the beads to make, you want to make sure all your beads are sitting right next to each other. So I know that it takes 36 Delicas for the first round for a 14mm Rivoli, but if I didn't know that, this is what I would look for, okay? Like I said, I would not look, if the beads are sitting sort of on top of the stone, it's going to be too small, and if they're like this, it's going to be too big. You will find that with experience, these are standard numbers, so, they will always work out. But if you find that you have a stone that's, a little more oddly shaped, or you don't know how many beads, this is what I do all the time. I just check and make sure that those 11.0 Delicas are completely encircling the edge of the stone with a little bit of like a hair of space around it, and that should fit. All right, so here I have my 36 Delicas on. So now I'm just going to start my peyote bezel by picking up a bead, exiting here, skipping a bead, sewing through the next bead. Now when you do this, just make sure you keep your tension nice and even. You don't want to buckle it up too much. You just want to make sure all your beads are all in a row, and that when you pull, the bead you put on sits on top of the previous bead. So here, exiting here, skip this one, sew through this one. When I give it a little pull it, the bead sits on top of the previous bead. And you just want to do that all the way around till you come to the end, and then come up back and we'll step. Okay, coming to the end, I'm going to step up. So coming out of here, I'm going to skip the next one, this one, and sew through the next bead and the one on the diagonal. Just like that. That steps me up. Now I'm just going to put my thumb in. So a little tip, I usually hold my thumb and I just give it a little pull. You don't have to pull it super tight yet. I'm just going to I hold it like this when I'm beading, so that way the beads have something to lean against when I put my next round on. So just a quick note, if you have an irregularly shaped stone like this, so this is, or any stone that's rounded, not a square or a navette or a marquee, something with rounded edges that doesn't require an increase or a decrease. I do the same thing. I put on an even number of beads or just a whole bunch of beads, and then I make sure it goes around the stone, so the same for this, and has a little bit of space around it. Especially when you have something thick like this, you want to make sure that you're going to be able to go around that complete stone. So you might even need a little bit more space. But I use the same principle, only I give this a little more space because I'm putting, more rounds of Delicas on to cover the edge there. That one as well as this one. So here, this is an oval shaped stone, and see how many rounds of Delicas I have on that, because look how thick the stone is. So I need more, and I need more space, and I need a little more, I need more Delicas on there so that they will encircle that without being too tight. Okay, so an irregularly shaped stone or something that isn't a Rivoli, that is made for bezel, like this is made to be bezeled. It's perfectly formed so you can get the beads around it. It's a lot of trial and error, but I still use pretty much the same principles there. All right, so now I'm just going to put on some 15-0s. So I'm just going to pick up a 15-0, and I'm going to sew through every sticking out Delica. Ouch. And I'm just holding my thumb on the bezel and then pulling, not super tight, but just enough so there's no thread showing. Just like that. So see how that's coming out? So you just want to do that all the way around. And then step up the end, and we'll continue. Okay, coming down to the end, so I'm going to step up. So here I'm exiting this Delica. I'm going to skip this one. Just going to sew through this one. And the one on the diagonal. Holding it on my thumb. And when I give it a little pull, see how it's, it's just coming together on its own, right? And now I'm going to add another round of 15-0s. So I'm just picking up a 15-0 and sewing through the sticking out 15-0. And here, I'm again holding it on my thumb, and I'm giving it a little pull inward so that they all kind of sit next to each other. And a thumb is a great, holder for the bezel, for this size bezel. So just keep doing that all the way around, and you can hold it like this too and give it a little pull. And you see how it pulls everybody together? All right, so get the second round done. You can step up on your own and then put one round of 15-0s on the back. So take off your stop bead and add one round of 15-0s on the back, and then come on back and we'll continue. Okay, we're back. So I have my front done, and I put one round on the back. So this is how it should look. So you can hold it between your forefinger and your thumb and give it a little pull so that the front is looking, all the beads are nice and next to each other, and here the back is, so see how it's curved already? Now I'm just going to pop my stone in. It's not going to fit yet. I'm just going to pull a little bit so that it's going to be fine, but it's not going to, it's not going to fit yet. So now I'm going to leave the front and I'm going to continue on the back. So I'm just going to hold it between my thumb and forefinger and give it a little pull just to, pull the beads in a little. And then I'm going to add another round of 15-ohs on this side. And eventually, you will come to what I call the sweet spot, where all of a sudden you've captured the stone with your bezel. It might not happen until you're on the very last bead on this side, or it might happen beforehand. And it does, sometimes it seems like it's not going to happen, depending on how tight a beader you are. So just keep going around. I feel it's starting to tighten up a little bit, but not enough yet. It's still going to fall out if I let go of it. I'll just keep coming around on this one just to show you. See where I feel something happening. It's getting much tighter. See, I can let go now and it's not going to fall out. But still haven't hit what I call that sweet spot yet. Almost. Okay, I think I got it. Yeah, that's about it. And then just the last few are going to pull it in even further. Of course, we're gonna continue on, so it's not completely done yet, but you will hit that sweet spot on this round. Okay, so coming to the end. Okay, I definitely hit it. Now I'm just gonna step up and pull, straighten it out a little. So here's the front and here's the back. Now at this point you have your bezel. The only thing if you wanted to just keep it round and, go on from here and make something, you can just put one more round of 15-ohs on and on the back, and you're done. You don't have to put another round on the front. I like a bit of stone showing. I don't want it covered too much. I mean, you could if you want, but I just like it this way. And then just do one more round on the back. But we're going to continue on and make this pretty little earring. So I'm just going to let you get to this point and then come back and we'll continue. I'm still in the back of my bezel and I'm coming out of an up bead, or sticking out bead. So now I'm going to pick up 5 of my 15-ohs. We're going to do this on the back. Okay, I'll leave it okay. So I have 5 of my 15-ohs. I'm exiting an up bead. I'm going to count 3 up beads. So 1, 2, and then I'm going to sew through the 3rd bead. I'm going to pick up 5 15-ohs. I'm going to count 3 up beads again, so I'm exiting this bead right here. I'm going to count 3, 1, 2, 3. So 3 of the up beads, going up the 3rd one. And I'm just going to continue that all the way around. 5, 1, 2, through the 3rd up bead or sticking out bead. Okay, so just do that until you get to the end, and then come on back and we'll continue to the end. So here, I'm sewn through this bead, counting 3, 1, 2, so 3 is going to be the original one I started with. I'm going to pull like that, and that's going to get my back done. Now at this point you can reinforce by sewing through all the beads on the back. Okay, so I'm just going to let you do that, then come back and we'll work on the front. Okay, so I've sewn through all my beads on the back, and I just want to move my thread out of the way. So I'm just exiting this bead right here. I'm just going to sew through on the diagonal through that 15-0, through the 11-0 Delica, and then I'm going to reverse direction. I just want to get rid of this thread. My thread is pretty short. Like that. You could do that again. And then sew through another Delica, and then you can just get rid of that thread, just like that. Okay? So let's go to the front. So on the front you're exiting an up bead, pick up a 15-0 and sew through the next up bead, or sticking out bead. Do that again, 15-0 through the next sticking out bead. Okay. Now I just want to move my needle, so no beads on my needle. Exiting here, sew through this one, and this one, so the one on the diagonal, like that. You're going to put on a 15-0. Again, put on another 15-0. So sewing through the sticking out beads. Now I want to move my needle again, so I'm going to sew through this one and this one on the diagonal. I'm going to add two 15-0s again. So this one through the next sticking out bead, and another one through the next sticking out bead. Okay, now I'm going to move my needle again. So exiting here, I'm going to sew through this one and this one. So if you get two at a time, you can, do that. But if not, just do one at a time. It's just, that way you're not going to break any beads. Okay, then put on a 15-0 and then another 15-0. Okay, you're just going to continue that all the way around to where we started, and then we'll continue. Coming down to my last two, so sewing on a 15-0, pick up a 15-0, sew through the next 15-0. Okay, so that's where we are. So what I have here is I've put on these two beads on each point here. So here we're going to add a bead in each one of these spaces. So the way we're going to do that is we're just going to move our needle till we get to this space, and then move our needle again, put a bead on, move our needle till we get to this space. So to do that, I have to go through this bead and this one, and then this one. Pick up a 15-0, sew through the next sticking out 15-0. Do that again. I'm going to go through these two. My needle is going through two of them, so that's okay. And up these two. Alright, I can't get through both, so I'm just going to go through one. And switch to your size 12 beading needle here if you need to. And then another one. So here, see how I'm up at the top again? I'm going to sew through. Pick up a 15-0 and sew through the next sticking out bead. See, that's forming the star. Again, just needling through the beads till I get to those two sticking out beads. Pick up a 15-0 and sew through the next 15-0. So just keep doing that all the way around until you have one bead in between each of these groups of two. Alright, and then come on back and we'll continue. Okay, coming down to the last 15-0 between the two 15-0s. Now I'm just going to move this thread. I want to get it to the Delicas, so I'm just sewing on the diagonal through the beads until I get to the side, and we'll use this thread coming up. Okay, there you go. So pretty. All right, so let's put this guy aside and we'll work on the chaton next. All right, see you in a minute. Okay, so let's do the chaton. So thread your needle with about, I don't know, 2 feet of thread. Put on a stop bead in the middle, just like we've been doing. So there is a standard number of Delicas for an 8.2 millimeter Swarovski Chaton, and that's 22. However, I just did this one just to test it out, and I did this one in 20. So it was a little bit of a tighter fit. I don't know, when I look at this one, and this is the 22, I think that these beads look better. They're sitting next to each other nicely. These maybe are a little bit, a little bit off because, they're, it was pulled in very tight. So I think, I'm going to stick with the 22, but, just shows you that you can do it with 20, or it's not always totally written in stone. You can go up or down too. So that's something you're just going to have to play with. So here I have my 22 beads. I just sew them into a circle. And here I'll put them around the chaton just to show you again. See how there's a little hair of space around it. It's not like this, and it's not on top of the stone. It's just when all the Delicas are next to each other, there's like a little hair of space around it. That's pretty much the perfect fit. So at this point, we're just going to do the same thing, for the next round. So exiting here, skipping a bead, sewing through the next bead, making sure that bead sits up on the previous bead, giving it a pull, pick up another one, skipping a bead, just like we did before. So you want to come all the way around and then come on back at the end, and we'll step up and then we'll continue. Okay, coming down to the end, I'm going to step up. So here I'm exiting here. I'm going to skip the next bead and sew through this one and the one on the diagonal. Now I have my Delicas on. So at this point you can actually put it on a pencil or pen or whatever, just to hold it while you're beading. It kind of keeps it round. I mean, sometimes it's helpful for me, and sometimes, to me it's a pain to do this. But actually, let me try something else. So this, I kind of like this pen a little bit better because it fits the bezel. It kind of fits on there. You don't want to stretch it out. You just want to make sure that it's, you're keeping it round. All right, so here now I'm just going to put on a round of 15-0s on this side. It's kind of hard to demonstrate with this, but you get the idea. So just put a round of 15-0s on, and then come to the end, step up, put another round of 15-0s on, and then take off your stop bead and put 1 round on the back. So we're doing 2 rounds on the front, 1 on the back, and then maybe back here and we'll put the stone in. Okay, we're back. So here I've done my 2 rounds on the front and 1 round on the back. I'm just going to pop the stone in. Get a little pull. And I just think the 22 is so much better. Alright, so that's what it looks like on the front. So it looks like on the back. I'm going to add 1 more round of 15-0s on the back. And as you're adding them, pull them towards the center, like this, just to get them on nice and even. Okay, so just like that. So finish your second round on the back. Here's the front, and then come on back, and we'll make an earring. Okay, so we have our 2 pieces, so let's make an earring. So if you want, you can leave this thread on the smaller one if you want to add an ear wire. I'm going to put a post on, so I'm going to cut this off, but I'll just leave it for the moment. So I'm finding a center bead. So here, these are the center beads, here, here, here. So I'm coming out of one of those. I'm just going to pick up an 11-0, and I'm going to put it through a center bead on the chaton. Doing a very simple connection because I want to do the stitch in the ditch. So then picking up another 11-0, just coming around the other side of the Delica that's on the bigger bezel. And then I'm just going to reinforce this by going around the beads. A couple of times. You can use bicones here if you don't want to use 11/0s, but I'm just using the 11/0s because, you know, as I said, I want the like the sort of the stitch in the ditch to continue, you know, that look to continue all the way around. All right, so here so I think that's pretty good. It's going to be, you know, like a door knocker, but it's fine. That should work. All right, now I'm going to start the stitch in the ditch. So we'll start it on the bottom one here. So here I'm exiting this little bead here, you know, where I've attached the two 11/0s. I don't want to put one in this stitch. I want to put it in the next stitch. So I'm just going to sew through the beads till I get to the next stitch. So on the diagonal, and this is going to tighten it up too. On the diagonal. Now I'm going to pick up an 11/0 and just start my ditch. So stitch in the ditch, exiting a middle bead here. Here's the ditch, pick up a bead, put on a bead, pick up a bead, here's the ditch, put on a bead. And you want to pull nice and tight on this. So just do that all the way around, and you're going to end it, well, just come around sort of to the end and I'll show you where to end it. Okay, coming down to the end, so you want to make sure you end it on the same, you know, end it evenly. So here, ditch, one more stitch in the ditch. It's going to be this one. Nice pull. And you see how that keeps it nice, that's nice and even on both sides. So then I just want to take this thread and I'm just going to sew this on the diagonal. So I'm just going through any, you know, through the beads on the diagonal. So this is under, you know, I've one on the diagonal. This is up under the original. I'm going on this one. And this one. Okay, so you want to just do this, you know, all the way around till it's nice and tight. And then you're going to do the same thing with this thread. Actually, you know, don't cut it off. Or you can actually move this thread around to the top, but this is a good, you know, a good thread to have to do your stitch in a ditch here. And if you have to add another thread, it's not a big deal either. So do your stitch in a ditch here, you know, you're just going to do exactly the same we did it here on the bottom, and then come on back and we'll put the back on. Okay, so just a little note, when you're doing the top portion, remember you don't want to put you don't want to put it in this stitch. It'll just bump up against that bead. So you want to just sew around here until you get to the other side. And then you want to ditch it here. So, you know, I'm just sewing on the diagonal like we've been doing. And then when I start my ditch again, it's going to be right there. And that way there's lots of space around those two beads. So I'm just going to go around like that, and then continue on, and then we'll put the back on. Okay, we're back, so let's make the earring. So, love it. Just going to put it face down on a little tray. I have a post. I'm going to add a dab of glue right there. I'm using super glue, but E6000 works as well. I'm just going to place it right on the back, and I'm not going to touch it. As long as it's even, you have a few seconds to play with it, but as long as it's even, I'm just going to just leave it like that, and then I'm not going to touch it for 24 hours. All right, so there you go. Here's your earring. Here's, let me see the other earring. Here's another one. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. Here it is without the stitch in the ditch. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and look for a bracelet coming up. All right, so I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.